Hello, dear listener. Welcome to this quiet moment, just for you. Find yourself a comfortable place, perhaps your soft bed or a cozy chair where your body can relax fully and your mind can drift gently. If you like, softly close your eyes now and begin to tune into the rhythm of your breath, slow, calm, and steady. Take a long, deep breath in and exhale slowly, letting go of any tension or busy thoughts. With each breath, feel yourself becoming lighter, like a leaf floating gently on a still pond. Tonight we embark on a peaceful journey together, a journey deep into the heart of the forest, where trees breathe beside us, and the forest itself seems alive with its own quiet rhythm. Here, every leaf, every branch, every root hums with a slow, ancient breath. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a great forest. The sun is dipping low, casting long golden fingers of light that weave through the towering canopy, scattering tiny sparks of sunlight that dance like fireflies caught in the branches. The air is cool and fresh, filled with the subtle scent of pine needles, damp earth, and wildflowers. Beneath your feet lies a soft carpet of fallen leaves, each one a faded memory of summers past, rustling quietly with every gentle breeze. Take a deep breath in, now. Breathe in the forest's air. Can you feel it? The trees have been breathing here for centuries, their trunks rising like ancient pillars holding up the sky, their leaves fluttering softly, whispering secrets to the wind. They are not silent giants. They are living, breathing beings, inhaling and exhaling with slow, graceful rhythm, just as you do. Now imagine the forest as one vast breathing creature. Its body is made up of countless trees, each one a lung, a heart, a soft voice in the quiet symphony of life. Branches stretch outward like gentle arms reaching for the warmth of the sun, while roots dive deep into the earth, anchoring the forest's life and drawing up nourishment. Together they create a beautiful breath, a rhythm so old it has whispered through the rising and falling of mountains, the passing of endless seasons, the turning of time itself. Step slowly into this forest with me. Feel the gentle sway of the trees as they breathe with the wind, their movement like soft waves in a sea of green. Listen closely to the hush, a delicate melody made of rustling leaves, the occasional trill of a bird, and the quiet hum of unseen life. The forest breathes all around you, in and out, an endless, tender dance. Take your time here. Breathe deeply, feeling the air fill your lungs like the gentle unfolding of a leaf in sunlight. Breathe out slowly, releasing calm and stillness back into the world. You are part of this breath, a single thread woven into the vast tapestry of life. Let me share with you the story of this breath, how the forest inhales what we exhale, and gifts us the air that keeps our hearts beating strong and steady. You see, the air we breathe is a quiet exchange. When you breathe in, you take in oxygen, a precious gift carried through the veins of the wind. When you breathe out, you release carbon dioxide, a gentle sigh of your body's work. But the trees, they hold a magical secret for transforming that sigh into a new song. Their leaves, like tiny green alchemists, capture sunlight, water, and the carbon dioxide we exhale. They weave these elements into a living miracle called photosynthesis, the art of turning sunlight into light. Imagine the leaves as delicate lungs, softly opening to the sun, drawing in carbon dioxide, and breathing out fresh oxygen, the very air we need to live. This dance of breath has been going on for millions of years, a quiet partnership between trees and humans, an ancient conversation without a single spoken word. Feel your own breath now, slow, calm, steady, and know that it is part of this endless cycle. With every inhale, you receive the forest's gift. With every exhale, you send back a breath the trees will turn into new life. Let your mind drift gently with the trees. See how their branches reach upward like open hands, welcoming the sun's warm touch. Feel the slow pulse of life flowing inside their trunks, a heartbeat syncing with the rhythms of the earth beneath your feet. Notice how the forest breathes, not just through leaves and air, but through roots that whisper beneath the soil, and the gentle flow of sap moving like rivers of life. The forest breathes with patient calm, a stillness that invites us to slow down, to soften and simply be. Here beneath the canopy, Time stretches and sighs, wrapped in a gentle embrace. You are safe here, cradled in the breath of ancient trees, held by the steady pulse of a living forest. As you breathe in this moment, feel peace growing inside you, spreading like soft sunlight through your chest, arms, your fingertips. Feel your breath becoming one with the breath of the forest. Let the world outside dissolve and sink deeper into this quiet connection. Know that you belong to this forest, just as the trees belong to the sky. Together, you share a breath, a slow, steady song carrying life and hope through every leaf and every heartbeat. Now, as your breath flows gently, let me share a secret the forest keeps. Every tree you see, from the tallest pine to the smallest sapling, holds stories inside its rings. These rings are like pages in a book, each one a year of growth, a chapter of sunlight and rain, of storms weathered and seasons past. Inside those rings is the memory of the forest's breath, the record of its endless dance with sky and soil. Imagine placing your hand on the rough bark of a tree. Feel the texture, the coolness, the strength beneath your fingertips. The tree is alive, breathing, growing, whispering in a language of rustling leaves and swaying branches. Beneath your feet, the earth hums softly. Roots stretch and curl, weaving through soil like a secret web, connecting tree to tree in silent conversation. They share water, nutrients, even warnings, sending messages through tiny fungal threads that link the forest's hidden heart. The forest is alive in ways we cannot always see, breathing, listening, responding. It is a living, breathing world that invites us to slow our pace, soften our breath, and join its quiet song. Take another slow breath now. Feel how the air moves in and out, like the gentle tide of the sea. With each breath, you grow more connected to the forest's rhythm. You breathe with the trees, sharing a quiet dance that stretches across time and space. In this moment, all is calm, all is soft, all is connected. The forest's breath is your breath. Your breath is the forest's breath. As you rest here, let your body become as still as a leaf on the breeze, as quiet as a shadow at dusk. Let your mind float like a feather, drifting softly on currents of peace and wonder. And as you sink deeper into this calm, know the forest's breath will carry you gently through the night. It will wrap you in its ancient arms, humming a lullaby of life, growth, and endless return. Imagine for a moment a silent dance, one so gentle it's barely noticed, yet so essential it carries the weight of life itself. This dance is the breath shared between the forest and you, a secret, invisible exchange that binds all living things together. When you breathe in, you take in oxygen, a gift woven through the air, carried on the wings of the wind. This oxygen flows into your lungs, filling your blood with life spark, lighting up every cell in your body like tiny stars awakening. When you breathe out, you release carbon dioxide, a soft sigh of your body's work, a quiet whisper drifting back into the air. This carbon dioxide does not vanish. Instead, it floats gently into the forest's waiting arms. The trees, patient and wise, breathe this carbon dioxide in. Their leaves, like emerald lungs, open wide to drink the air, gathering sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, and weaving them into oxygen through a process called photosynthesis, a dance as old as the earth itself. Imagine the leaves as tiny, tireless factories, transforming sunlight into sugar and oxygen, the breath that will travel back to you and every living creature. With every breath you take, you are inhaling the forest's gift, and with every breath you release, you are giving back to the forest a gift of your own. This exchange is a slow, endless conversation, one that has been whispered quietly for millions of years. It links your breath with the forest's breath, and the forest's breath with the breath of the whole planet. Feel your breath now, soft, steady, peaceful, and know that you are part of this vast, living web. You breathe the same air that once filled the lungs of ancient trees, and perhaps one day that air will breathe new life into the forests to come. Breathe in slowly, feeling the coolness of the air as it fills your lungs, and breathe out gently, releasing warmth and calm. Now, picture the forest again, standing tall and still, each tree a silent sentinel holding its breath, waiting to receive the carbon dioxide that you gently send forth. The forest inhales this breath, and with the help of sunlight and water, it turns it into fresh oxygen, the very breath that will come back to you, wrapped in the rustling of leaves, the whisper of wind, and the quiet song of life. There is a harmony here, a soft balance that sustains us all. The trees give, and we receive. We give and the trees receive. Together we create the breath of the world. Imagine too that your breath is connected to the breath of every living thing. The buzzing bees gathering nectar, the singing birds weaving melodies, and even the smallest fungi growing quietly beneath the soil. Each breath carries life. Each exhale carries a message. And all of these messages flow through the web of life, binding us in an unspoken harmony. As you breathe, feel yourself becoming a part of this quiet dance, a single note in the forest's lullaby. Slowly, gently, your breath and the forest's breath move as one, rising, falling, inhaling, exhaling, a tender rhythm that echoes through time and space. Let this rhythm calm your heart, soften your mind, and carry you deeper into relaxation. In this shared breath, there is peace. In this shared breath, there is connection. Feel the air around you soft and cool, carrying the scent of earth and leaves, a reminder of the forest's gentle presence. Know that wherever you are, this breath flows through you, linking you to the green world beyond the window, to the whispering trees, to the heart of the forest. And as your breath slows even more, let your thoughts drift like leaves on a stream, floating softly, effortlessly, carried by the steady flow of life itself. Tonight, we will explore a secret magic hidden in the very leaves that crown the trees around us. A magic so delicate, so powerful, that it quietly breathes life into the world. Imagine standing beneath the leafy canopy, looking up at a sea of green shimmering softly in the sunlight. Each leaf is like a tiny living lung, breathing quietly in the light, catching the sun's warm rays as they dance through the branches. Leaves are more than just green. They are the forest's breath made visible, soft, thin, and alive, designed perfectly to capture sunlight and air, and to create the very oxygen that fills your lungs each time you breathe. Let's journey gently into the heart of a single leaf, where sunlight, water, and air come together in a beautiful dance called photosynthesis. Inside every leaf, millions of tiny cells hold a secret power. These cells contain chlorophyll, the green pigment that paints the leaf and captures sunlight like a million tiny mirrors. Imagine sunlight as a golden river flowing endlessly, each ray a delicate thread of energy reaching down from the sky, finding its way into the leaf's heart. As sunlight enters, it wakes up the chlorophyll, setting in motion a magical process where light energy is transformed into chemical energy, the very energy that powers life. Along with sunlight, the leaf draws in water, a cool, silent stream rising up from the roots, carrying nourishment from the soil into the leaf's vein. At the same time, the leaf inhales carbon dioxide, a gentle breath from the air, a gift released by animals, humans, and all living creatures. Inside the leaf's cells, these elements combine in an elegant dance. Light, water, and carbon dioxide weave together, and through a process so intricate, it seems like nature's own alchemy. They transform into sugars, the food that fuels the tree's growth, and oxygen, the fresh breath the leaf releases back into the world. Imagine these sugars traveling slowly down the leaf's veins, like sweet nectar flowing through tiny rivers, feeding every part of the tree from its twinkling new buds to its deep, anchoring root. And the oxygen, soft, invisible, and pure, drifts gently out of the leaf, joining the air around you, ready to be breathed in by you, by birds, by the tiniest insects, and even by the forest itself. This process of photosynthesis is the forest's quiet miracle, an endless cycle of giving and receiving, turning sunlight into life, and life back into breath. As you breathe softly now, feel the air fill your lungs with fresh oxygen, gifted to you by leaves just like these, in forests, gardens, and even the small trees outside your window. Picture yourself becoming one with the leaf's gentle work, feeling the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the coolness of water flowing inside you, and the soft dance of air moving in and out with each breath. The leaf's tiny pores, called stomata, open and close like little mouths, carefully balancing the tree's need for air and moisture. These pores are the leaf's breath made visible, tiny gateways through which the tree inhales carbon dioxide and exhales oxygen, connecting the tree intimately to the world around it. Imagine this exchange as a tender conversation, the leaf speaking with the sky, welcoming the breeze as it passes, gently taking what it needs, and giving back life in return. And this dance is delicate and precise, for the leaf must protect itself from drying out, just as we protect our own breath. So the leaf stomata open in the coolness of morning and evening, when the air is fresh and the sun is soft, and close gently in the heat of midday, guarding the tree's precious moisture. This rhythm of opening and closing is another breath in the forest's song, a whisper of balance, a song of survival and grace. Imagine how this soft breathing of leaves extends across the entire forest, countless leaves dancing in the sun, each performing this miracle of photosynthesis, all working together in a symphony of... The forest is alive with this breath, turning sunlight into the very air that sustains you. Feel yourself becoming part of this vast, gentle cycle, your own breath joining the forest's breath, woven into a tapestry of life that stretches far beyond what eyes can see. As you sink deeper into this calm, let your breath flow slowly and softly, each inhale bringing the gift of oxygen, each exhale returning the gift of carbon dioxide. Know that this quiet exchange connects you intimately to the trees, to the sky, and to the endless cycle of life on Earth. Rest now in this knowledge. Wrapped in the soft green arms of the forest, held gently by the leaves' tender breath, imagine stepping softly into the forest, feeling the soft earth beneath your feet, cool and rich, pulsing quietly with hidden life. Look down and see the roots weaving through the soil, like delicate veins of the earth itself. Roots are the forest's secret foundation, the unseen arms that hold the trees steady, drawing up water and minerals, whispering quietly with one another beneath the surface. Picture a single tree, its branches reaching for the sky, its leaves dancing with the wind, but its strength and sustenance coming from below, from the intricate network of roots stretching through the dark earth. These roots reach out like silent explorers, searching for water hidden deep in the soil, wrapping gently around stones, finding their way through the earth's rich tapestry. Roots are patient and persistent, moving slowly but surely, tapping into underground streams, absorbing moisture that will travel up the trunk, into the branches, and finally to the leaves where photosynthesis breathes life. Imagine roots as the forest's quiet lungs, breathing in water and nutrients, feeding the tree with the earth's hidden breath. But roots do more than just nourish. They can... Beneath the surface, roots intertwine and overlap, creating a vast secret network, a forest internet, through which trees communicate and share. Through tiny fungal threads called mycorrhizae, roots form partnerships with fungi, a delicate friendship where the fungi help the roots absorb water and nutrients, and the roots share sugars created in the leaf. This underground web links trees together, allowing them to warn each other of danger, share food in times of need, and support younger, weaker trees, helping the forest survive and thrive as one living community. Picture this network beneath your feet, a quiet conversation of roots and fungi, a secret language of touch and taste, carrying messages that travel slowly but surely through the soil. As you breathe in, imagine the cool earth around the roots, full of life and moisture, holding the memory of countless seasons, the whispered stories of storms and sunshine, of growth and rest, of endless renewal. Let your breath sink with this quiet pulse, this slow, steady rhythm of roots drinking deeply from the earth. Feel the connection between your own body and this underground world, your feet resting on the soil, your breath flowing softly, your heart beating gently. Just as roots anchor the trees, so too are you anchored here in this moment, held by the earth's steady embrace. Roots remind us that much of life happens beneath the surface, quiet, patient, unseen, but essential to all that grows and breathes above. Imagine the roots reaching far beyond what the eye can see, stretching out in search of water and life, tugging gently at the earth, and holding firm against the wind and rain. This unseen world beneath the forest floor is as alive and vibrant as the world above, a hidden realm where life pulses in slow, steady waves. As you breathe softly now, feel yourself sinking deeper into this calm, rooting yourself like a tree, steady, strong, connected. Let the earth's quiet strength fill you, bringing peace to your body and mind. You see, when we look at a tree, we often see only the outer surface, the tall trunk like a pillar, the branches like arms cradling the sky, and the leaves like green thoughts fluttering in the wind. But beneath that surface, inside the wooden stillness, lives an invisible rhythm, a hush that moves not with sound but with breath. For even trees, those patient, rooted beings, are not as silent as they seem. Let's step closer, shall we? Let's place our hands against the bark, feel its texture, warm and rough like the skin of the earth. And now, let's imagine what lies within. Just beneath the bark lies a world most never seen, a narrow ring of life known as the cambium, delicate, alive, and constantly at work. This is the part of the tree that grows, the heartbeat of the trunk, and surrounding it are veins, not so different from our own. Instead of carrying blood, these carry sap, a clear, gentle river of sugars and water, rising, falling with the seasons, with the day, with the breath of the sky. Upward flows the xylem, a spiral staircase of water drawn on the roots, lifted not by pumps but by the silent thirst of leaves, a pull so gentle, so persistent, that it can draw water over 100 feet high. Downward flows the phloem, a soft slide of sweetness from leaf to root, sugars made from sunlight carried down to feed the soil-dwelling kin of the tree's hidden self. Two rivers flowing in opposite directions, dancing through the trunk like breath in a lung, like inhale and exhale. And so trees breathe, not just through their leaves, but through these inner rivers as well. Though they do not gasp like we do, they exchange gases in their own quiet way. Even their bark, though thick and protective, has tiny pores, lenticels, little gateways for breath, so subtle you might mistake them for freckles or grains. And beneath the soil, the roots breathe too, not just drinking water but drawing in oxygen, releasing carbon dioxide in tiny invisible sighs. You see, even the forest floor has lungs. If you could shrink yourself down to the size of a beetle and walk among the root tips, you would hear the soil crackling softly with breath, the fizz of microbial life, the whisper of roots speaking in chemical songs. It would sound a little like a campfire, a little like static, a little like silence Now, let's lie down for a moment. Here, on the forest floor, can you feel it? That slow, ancient rhythm beneath your back? That's the breath of the forest, and it's older than memory. Each tree is a chimney of air, taking in carbon from the sky and locking it away inside wood, inside rings of that carbon, the same carbon that once swirled in dinosaur lungs, the same carbon that once danced in starlight now sleeps in the body of a pine, or an oak, or a soft-voiced willow. And when we breathe out, releasing carbon with every sigh, the trees say thank you and take it in, turning it into leaf and shade, into bark and branch. This exchange, this invisible handshake between species, is the breath that binds. And so you are not alone in your breathing. Even as you rest here tonight, in your room or your bed, or the curve of a couch, the trees are breathing with you. Somewhere a redwood is drawing in the breath you released this morning. Somewhere a fig tree is exhaling into the air you'll breathe tomorrow. You are not separate from the forest's breath. You are part of it. A note in the song, a ripple in the lung. But let's return now to the sap, that gentle river flowing inside the tree. You see, sap isn't just a transport system. It's memory in liquid form. It carries signals, whispers of drought, of damage, of hunger. When a leaf is bitten, a signal flows down the phloem, and the tree responds, sending tannins, or resins or chemical poems that say stay away. Some trees even share these signals with neighbors, warning others of danger, in a language older than words. And what's even more wondrous is that this slow, sticky breath moves with the moon. Yes, just like the tides in the ocean, there are sap tides in trees. They rise with the full moon and fall with the waning light. So even in darkness, even in sleep, the forest is moving, breathing, tuned to the pulse of the cosmos. Now, imagine you are resting inside the trunk of a great tree, not trapped, no, cradled. Imagine the wood around you is warm, pulsing gently with sap. The way your own chest rises and falls, you can feel the xylem lifting, cool water from the depths, and the phloem carrying sugar down, soft as syrup in a lullaby. You are wrapped in the forest's breath, inhaled by bark, exhaled by leaf, safe still, part of the whole. So the next time you pass by a tree, place your palm against its side, feel the quiet within, know that beneath your hand there is movement, breath, and remember that we do not breathe alone, we never have. And now, my dear listener, let your own breath slow even more. Let it match the ancient rhythm of the trees. In the heart of every forest, a pulse moves unseen. It is not made of blood, nor does it beat with sound, but it lives in cycles, light and shadow, breath and stillness, inhale and exhale. You see, trees do not only breathe during the day, they do not simply rest when the sun sets. Their breath shifts, subtly, deeply into a different rhythm. A rhythm designed not for light, but for dark, not for growth, but for giving. During the day, trees drink in sunlight. They pull carbon dioxide from the air, use the sun's golden touch, and transform it into sugar, into strength, into leaves and limbs, into wood and wonder. This is photosynthesis, the magic of the daylight hours. But when the sun slips away, another process takes its place. When night falls, the forest exhales. Let's go walking together now, slowly, softly, into a sleeping grove. Each tree here stands still, but they are far from idle. The leaves, once soaking in light, now sigh softly. The roots, once humming with the heat of the sun, now whisper underground. And above us, oxygen trickles from 1,000 quiet mouths. You may have heard that plants only give oxygen during the day. And yes, that's mostly true. But the truth, like all forest things, is deeper and more layered. Because at night the trees continue to live, and living things must breathe. So they do what we do. They take in oxygen, just like us. And in return they release carbon dioxide, just like us. It's a mirror, it's a communion, it's a sacred exchange. But here's the tender secret. Because trees breathe so slowly, so reverently, their exhale is a lullaby to the world. It does not overwhelm, it does not rush, it simply is. And still, even in the dark, not all breath ends. Some trees, especially those with green leaves that remain photosynthetically active, can do a tiny bit of photosynthesis even at night, under the silvery light of the moon or artificial street lamps. A soft shimmer of light filters through the forest canopy. Some chloroplasts stay just awake enough, and tiny puffs of oxygen drift into the breeze like ghostly feathers. It's not much, but it is enough to feed a moth fluttering gently near the bark, or a cricket's sleeping lungs, or your own breath as you lie under the stars. This nighttime breath is not about production. It's about presence. It's not about work. It's about wonder. Far below, beneath the forest floor, the story deepens. Roots wind together like fingers in a silent prayer. They reach not only for water and minerals, but for each other. The forest's underground is alive with a web, the mycorrhizal network, a vast and ancient fungal net that connects one tree to another. Here, even in darkness, information travels. A warning about drought, a whisper of illness, a gift of sugar, a promise of life, and all of it requires breath. The fungi breathe, the roots breathe, even the soil teeming with bacteria and tiny unseen creatures. It breathes too. This is not a dead world. It is not sleeping in the way we imagine sleep. It is merely quieter, like a cathedral at night, like a heart resting between beats. The air in a midnight forest is different. Have you noticed it? Cooler, more saturated, full of dew and the scent of bark. That scent, that sweet woody perfume, is made of molecules released by trees. They're called VOCs, volatile organic compounds, but I like to think of them as forest size. At night these compounds shift. Some fade, others bloom. Some trees like pine and eucalyptus may release calming compounds that soothe the animals who wander at dusk, and perhaps they soothe us too. That peaceful feeling you get in a forest at night, the sense that something is holding you softly. It may not be imagined. It may be chemistry. It may be breath. Even the moon listens to the breath of the tree. It glides slowly over the canopy, casting pale shadows that move like dreams. Some trees tilt ever so slightly during the night. Researchers have found that birch trees under clear skies will let their branches droop gently by a few centimeters before rising again with the morning sun. It is as if they are bowing in sleep or praying in stillness. This movement may be driven by changes in water pressure, the gentle tug of fluids moving within the trunk, known as the tree's hydraulic pulse. It's not quite a heartbeat, but it is just as ancient. Even without muscles or nerves, the forest has rhythms, and every night it sways in time with the stars. And so, in this midnight exhale, you are not alone. As you lie back, as your lungs rise and fall, the forest breathes with you, not just beside you, but within you. The oxygen in your blood tonight, some of it came from forests far away, from oceans too, but perhaps a molecule or two drifted from the tree outside your window. Perhaps a single breath came from a pine, or a maple, or an old oak who has stood watch for generations. You breathe in the forest breathes in you, and through this simple, sacred act, the exchange of gases, the rhythm of respiration, you are linked to a world that is older than language, older than stories, older than time. There is no rush now, no urgency, only breath, only stillness, only the soft exhale of the forest, and the slower exhale of your own. Let your thoughts dissolve into Leah flight. Let your worries settle like moss upon a stone. The world does not need you to do anything right now, only to rest, only to breathe, only to... In the green and living world of the forest, something remarkable is always unfolding beneath the surface. Though the trees stand still, silent sentinels cloaked in bark, they are far from lonely. They speak, they listen, and in their slow, breath-like rhythm, they carry on ancient conversations that have lasted longer than memory itself. Have you ever stood quietly in the woods and felt something pass through the silence, a feeling, a know, like the whole forest was aware of you? That's not your imagination, because trees, in their patient photosynthetic way, are always aware of each other. And you too, dear dreamer, are part of that awareness. You breathe what they offer, they breathe what you give, and in this sacred exchange, a kind of listening happens. But how do trees talk? Not with mouths or tongues, of course, but with light, with scent, with chemistry, with roots that reach like fingers through the dark soil, finding one another in the underground quiet. Beneath your feet, right now, a vast hidden network is pulsing, a living internet of roots and fungi, stretching tree to tree, leaf to leaf, carrying messages that no human ear can hear. Some call it the Wood Wide Web, some call it the mycorrhizal network. It is both science and story, a web spun of ancient cooperation between trees and fungi, so fine and so grand that it weaves entire forests into one breathing organism. Let's take a moment now to journey beneath the forest floor. Imagine the cool darkness under the earth, the quiet hum of roots threading through soil like whispered dreams. They touch, they share, they send warnings of danger. Beetles are coming, one tree might say, and another, far away, receives the message and prepares its defenses. They share nutrients too. A dying tree might send the last of its sugars to a young sapling nearby. A mother tree may nourish her children through root and fungus, long after her own crown is lost to shadow. And the fungi. The fungi. Tiny filaments called hyphae stretch through the soil like gossamer threads, linking trees to one another. These fungal partners help trees absorb minerals and water, and in return the trees feed the fungi with sugars from the light above. This is not competition. This is communion. In the forest, altruism is not weakness. It is survival. To live long and tall, a tree must give as well as take. And so it listens to its neighbors, to the soil, to the subtle songs sung by rain and root. Now imagine yourself lying on the forest floor, moss beneath your head, the soft hush of needles above you. The air smells of cedar, of fern, of life and loam. Can you feel it? The forest speaking not in words but in pulses, in signals sent through carbon and scent, in rhythms mirrored by your breath. When a tree is attacked by insects, its leaves release volatile chemicals, tiny fragrant clouds that drift on the breeze. Nearby trees smell the warning and change their chemistry, producing bitter compounds to fend off the same predators. The air becomes a language, the wind a carrier of meaning, and you breathing that same air become part of the story. Perhaps this is why a walk in the woods feels so healing, not just because of the quiet, but because you are entering a place that listens, a place where you are not separate from life, but woven into it. Science has begun to uncover what indigenous cultures have known for centuries, that forests are not collections of individuals, but communities, tightly knit, nurturing, alive in ways we are only beginning to understand. And so the breath you take in this moment, soft and slow, is touched by leaves you'll never see. It is cooled by shadows you've never walked beneath. It is made sweet by the secret work of chloroplasts and the silent generosity of root and fungi. Do you remember, dear listener, the first time you felt truly small in nature? Maybe you stood before a towering redwood, its bark like ancient armor. Maybe you watched mist curl around mountain trees at dawn. Maybe you simply lay in the grass and listened to the wind move through leaves. That feeling of smallness, of reverence, that too is part of the forest's conversation. It reminds us that life is not a ladder, but a circle. That breath moves in loops, and stories ripple outward in rings, like the hidden rings inside a tree's heartwood. Even now, the forest is breathing with you. You inhale the oxygen that trees have exhaled, and you exhale the carbon that trees will sip through their stomata. Tiny pores on the underside of leaves, invisible to your eyes, but open to your gift. It is a dance, a gift passed back and forth between root and lung, leaf and chest, over and over again, not just with one tree, but with many, a chorus of trunks, each singing a note in the quiet green symphony that hums around our lives. You are not alone in your breath. You are not alone in your listening. There is a place far from roads, far from noise, where only the hush of wind and wings can be heard. In this place, a forest lives not only in stillness, but in a slow, unseen motion, breathing, always breathing. You may think of trees as still, unchanging, passive, but in truth, they are dancers in slow time, and one of their most exquisite dances is the exchange of gases, a breath that stretches across hours, a respiration that bridges species. Each tree, each leaf, green vein is like a lung, quietly drinking in the light, and giving back something even more extraordinary. Let's step gently into this green cathedral. Let's listen. The breath of the forest is not like yours or mine. It is not quick or shallow or audible. It does not come with sighs or shivers, but it is no less alive. Every morning, as the sun wakes the canopy, the leaves unfurl like fingers greeting the light. Inside these leaves, millions of chloroplasts begin to stir, tiny emerald engines that transform sunlight into life. These chloroplasts are the silent alchemists of the forest. They take in carbon dioxide, the very air you exhale, and they cradle it within their membranes, mixed with water drawn from the soil and sunlight kissed from the sky. They create sugar, fuel, growth, and then, almost as a byproduct, they exhale oxygen, fresh and sweet into the world. This exhale is not loud or sudden, it's a whisper, an invisible hush, drifting from the stomata, the tiny mouths on the undersides of leaves. And in that breath, you exist. It may comfort you to know the air that fills your lungs tonight may have passed through a sycamore leaf this morning, or the crown of a red cedar, or the slender needles of a pine swaying above a stream. You and the forest, you breathe in rhythm, while you exhale the carbon that your cells no longer need. Trees drink it in with gratitude, and as they release the oxygen they no longer require, your body receives it with thanks. This is not just a coincidence. It is a contract, ancient, wordless, sacred, and it has been signed by every green thing and every breathing creature since the beginning of breath. Imagine now the wind winding its way through the canopy. It does not simply move leaves, it moves molecules, oxygen, carbon, moisture, scent, and as the sun arcs across the sky, the balance of gases in the forest changes, subtly, beautifully. In early morning, oxygen builds in the air as trees awaken to light. By midday, photosynthesis is at its most vigorous, an orchestra of light and sugar, a rising tide of breath. And at night, as the forest sleeps beneath stars, photosynthesis pauses, but respiration continues, quiet, humble, ongoing. Trees take in oxygen now, just as we do, using it to fuel the work of healing and growth in darkness. Even in sleep, the forest breathes. Let us lie down now beneath the canopy. Feel the dappled light through your eyelids. Smell the faint green sweetness of leaf and lichen. Hear the wind passing secrets from branch to branch. As you inhale, imagine the leaves above sighing oxygen into your chest. As you exhale, see the trees receiving your breath, like a gift wrapped in warmth. You are not apart from this process. You are not merely a visitor here. You are a participant. Every breath you take in this world has been touched by leaf and limb. Even the breath you are taking now was shaped by something rooted in soil. But the forest does more than simply give. It listens to the stomata on a leaf's surface open and close in response to moisture, light, and the air itself. When the air is thick with carbon dioxide, perhaps near a human trail, the leaves may adjust their behavior. They may open wider, drink deeper, engaging in more intense photosynthesis. It is as if the trees are listening to you breathe and responding. Scientists have found that trees growing near cities often adjusts their gas exchange rates to absorb more of the human breath released in urban air. Like gentle lungs on the edge of steel and stone, they work a little harder, not out of duty, but out of quiet harmony. This is not a metaphor. This is the science of breath woven into the poetry of life. Even fallen leaves have something to say. As autumn comes and chlorophyll fades, the forest prepares to rest, but the breath does not end. The dry leaves underfoot, the mulch, the soil itself, they all participate in respiration. Tiny fungi, bacteria, and root systems exchange gases, just as leaves do. The forest floor is alive with breathing, even when no leaves remain on the trees above. And beneath the soil, a vast network of mycorrhizal fungi connects root to root, a communication system of breath and chemistry. Carbon moves here too in slow spirals, carried by sugars from tree to tree, sometimes even from one species to another. It is not just a forest, it is a lung, a brain, a living mind. Tonight, as your breath slows and deepens, know this: you are part of something that does not end with your skin. The air you breathe has been breathed before, by deer and squirrel, by oak and fern, by ancestor and stranger alike. Each breath is a thread in a great tapestry of shared existence. And in that tapestry, trees are not background, they are weavers. They take what is given and return it transformed. They take your carbon and offer life. They take your silence and return green song. Can you feel the breath between the leaves? It is not wind. It is the exhale of photosynthesis, the inhale of your presence, the harmony of molecule and purpose. It is as if the forest and the human body are completing one another's sentences, one breath at a time. Let us linger here a while longer. Feel your chest rise, then fall. Let your breath match the trees, unhurried, generous, grateful. Imagine lying in a glade as the canopy breathes above you and the roots hum beneath you. The sky filters through a million leaves, and each one contributes to the breath you take. You are not alone here. The air is alive, the forest is listening, and it breathes with you. Beneath the pale hush of moonlight, a grove of old trees stands in quiet formation, like guardians of memory. Their trunks are thick, furrowed like the foreheads of deep thinkers, and their branches twist upward, as if in constant conversation with the stars. These are not ordinary trees. These are the elders, the whisperers, the timekeepers, the silent singers of the breath that spans generations. Every tree breathes. Every leaf drinks sunlight and exhales life. But the old trees, they do something more. They remember, not in words or dreams, but in rings. Yes, tree rings, those delicate circular lines that mark the passing of seasons like ripples in a pond of time. If you were to gently cut through the trunk of a fallen elder, you would see them, fine rings layered like the folds of a storybook, and each ring would speak. A narrow ring, a year of drought, when the sky forgot how to a wide ring, a season of rain and joy, when roots danced deep in the soil, a dark scar, perhaps a fire long ago, soot stitched into the wood like a wrinkle of survival. Old trees carry these memories inside them, quietly and without complaint. They breathe in carbon dioxide from the air, just like all trees, and use it to build their bodies, ring by ring, year by year, and as they grow, they trap that breath, holding it like a photograph inside their hearts. Some of the trees in our world are over 5. They were here before cities, before ink, before most names. They have inhaled the exhalations of ancient wolves, early humans and forgotten wind. They have held carbon from Roman hearth fires and the smoke of Viking ships. Every breath they store is a whisper from a world that once was, and yet they never speak of it. Not with words. Instead they stand, silently, listening to the wind, offering shade, sharing their breath with the world. Far from cities, high in misty mountains or deep in untamed forests, there are sacred groves where old trees live like monks. The bristlecone pine, twisted and gnarled by wind, is one of the oldest. Some live atop the White Mountains of California, trees so old they were already ancient when pyramids were young. Their bark is bleached, like bone, and their wood is so dense that it does not rot. Year after year, they endure, not fast, not beautiful by ordinary standards, but steady. These trees grow slowly. A bristlecone might add only the width of a fingernail in an entire year, yet this slowness is its strength. It doesn't hurry, it listens. Its breath is shallow, quiet, like the hush between two waves. It drinks light and gives oxygen, yes, but it also stores stories in its rings, like a librarian, placing each season on a shelf. In its own way, the bristlecone remembers things we've forgotten: the texture of a cooler sky, the scent of air before machines, the voices of extinct birds. And here's the most beautiful part: when we breathe in the oxygen released by these trees, we are borrowing the breath of history. Every inhale is filled with molecules that may have once passed through an ancient pine, a sacred redwood, or a rainforest elder. These atoms do not disappear, they journey, from leaf to lung, from past to present. You are breathing the forest's memory. Old trees also serve as bridges between generations. When a tree breathes in carbon dioxide, it captures it inside its tissues, in the wood, the bark, the roots. That carbon doesn't go away. It becomes a part of the tree, and as long as the tree stands, the carbon stays trapped, like a secret held for centuries. But here's a quiet miracle. Even when the tree eventually dies, its carbon-rich body feeds the forest. Fallen logs become nurse logs, soft, moss-covered beds where mushrooms, ferns, and seedlings begin again. The breath the old tree once held is slowly passed to the next generation. The forest never wastes a breath, it recycles it, a slow exhale, into new life. This is one of nature's softest rhythms, the pulse of breath through time. There is a tree in Sweden named Old Tycho, a clonal spruce, whose roots are nearly 10,000 years old. It is not tall, nor grand. It looks like a humble bush, but beneath the soil, its roots have persisted through the rise and fall of civilizations. When the top of the tree dies, it sends up a new stem, over and over, like a candle relighting itself. Imagine that, a single tree system breathing with the earth since before the end of the last ice age, its roots sipping the same melted snow, its leaves whispering to the same cold wind. It has lived through the memory of glaciers and mammoths. And still, it breathes. In Japan, there's a tradition called Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. Not bathing in water, but in the presence of trees. To walk among ancient trees is to let their stillness soak into your soul. It is to breathe what they exhale. Scientists have found that walking in old forests lowers cortisol, reduces anxiety, and slows the heart. The trees are calming us, not just emotionally, but physically. And maybe, just maybe, that calm comes from their age, their memory. When you sit with a tree that is 500 years old, your worries soften, because the tree reminds you, this too shall pass. The wind will change, the rain will return, the breath will go on. Trees have always been the earth's lungs, but old trees, the great elders, are its memory, and we are not separate from this. Every breath you take is stitched to the breath of a tree. Every exhale you release becomes an offering, a gift the tree will use to grow. Inhale the forest's oxygen, exhale your carbon. A dance older than writing, older than song. There's something else, a secret in the soil. Scientists have discovered that trees, especially old ones, are connected underground by fungal threads, like a vast web of invisible communication. This is called the wood wide web. Through it, old trees send signals, warnings of danger, nutrients to young saplings, water to the thirsty. Some even say they recognize their own offspring. These wise old trees don't hoard. They give, like elders guiding a village. They feed the forest around them. And when they sense a young tree in trouble, they offer their breath in the form of sugars and carbon. Even in the last years of their life, ancient trees keep giving. They die slowly, quietly, becoming habitat, shelter, food, and memory. Even in death, they breathe, their stored carbon returning slowly to the cycle of life. And you are part of that cycle too. Your lungs, your breath, your very cells, they carry atoms that once lived in the roots and rings of ancient trees. When you breathe in, you're not alone. You are breathing with the forest. In the deepest hour of night, when even the owls speak in murmurs, and the stars peer gently through the canopy, the forest breathes not for itself alone. It breathes with us, with you. It's easy to forget, in our daylit scurrying, that we share this rhythm. We think of trees as silent, still, unmoving. But no, they inhale when we exhale. They listen when we forget to. They wait, patiently, for us to remember them. And when we do, oh, the reunion is as tender as two lost friends finding each other in the fog. Take a breath now, dear one. Breathe out, slowly. There, the trees felt that, and in return, they give you back life. They swirl oxygen into the breeze like invisible prayer. Little gifts, molecules of light, spun from green magic. This is not a metaphor. This is real. Let's walk, shall we? Just in your mind. Barefoot as always. The ground beneath is cool and soft. A carpet of pine needles and crumbling leaves. Every footstep echoes softly into the underworld. That dark, humming network of fungal threads, mycelial minds whispering secrets from root to root. The air tonight is thick with presence. It is not empty. No air ever is. It is filled with tree breath, leaf breath, foggy hush, and ancient sighs. And you are breathing that in. Not just air, but a story. You are breathing the memory of forests older than language. The exhale of a cedar that stood long before your ancestors were born. The breath of a birch whose silver bark peeled away in the time of silent glaciers. Each molecule of air has been through countless bodies. Tree, animal, cloud, stone, you are not just breathing. You are becoming. Science tells us this, that plants breathe in carbon dioxide and release oxygen, that we do the opposite, that we are locked in a gentle dance of reciprocity. But what science cannot always tell is how it feels. It does not always whisper what it is to stand in a redwood grove and feel your ribcage widen, as if the trees are reminding you to open. It does not chart the warmth that spills through your limbs when you lie beneath a beech and exhale, and the wind rushes in reply as if the forest was saying, yes, yes, I hear you. It does not explain why, when you are sad or tired or lost, and you go sit under a tree, you somehow begin to feel found. That's not just chemistry, that's communion. There is a silence in the forest that is not empty. It is a silence filled with listening. Trees are deep listeners. They hear with their entire bodies, with their roots and rings, their cambium layers, their leaf pores. They absorb our breath not just as air, but as presence. They know when you are calm. They know when you are anxious. They do not judge. They simply breathe with you. Every breath you take is a message, and the trees, they answer. Sometimes with birdsong, sometimes with the rustle of leaves, sometimes with stillness, the deepest kind of listening. Imagine now, if you will, the breath of a single old oak, its trunk wide as a doorway to another world, its roots gripping the earth like loving hands, its leaves catching moonlight like silver feathers. It has seen hundreds of winters. It has grown slowly, patiently, year by year, and each season it has breathed in the sky and breathed out the gift of life. Now you sit beneath it, you close your eyes, you place your hand on its bark, and for one long moment, you and the tree share a single breath. In, out, together. Can you feel it? The rhythm of the forest entering your lungs, the rhythm of your body entering the forest. You are not separate. You never were. Breathe again. Slowly now. With every inhale, draw in not just oxygen, but stories. The tales of clouds and rain, of sunlight turned into sugar, of roots dipped in groundwater 70 years old. And as you exhale, let go of your thoughts, let go of worries, let go of everything but this, the quiet breath between you and the trees. In the language of the forest, words are unnecessary. What matters is presence. A deer does not ask permission to be. A moss does not seek approval to grow. They simply live, and through living, they breathe, and through breathing, they speak, and through speaking, they offer something we often forget to receive: stillness. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the fullness of being, and when you sit quietly with a tree, you are wrapped in that stillness, like a blanket, like a breath, and slowly, gently, you remember how to just be. There are children who have never been to a forest. There are adults who have forgotten what a pine needle smells like. But the breath remembers. Your lungs know what forest air feels like. Your nervous system softens at the first scent of leaf and soil. Because once, long ago, and maybe not so long ago, we lived in forests. We were forest, and in our cells that memory lingers. The breath carries it. The breath knows. So tonight, let this chapter be your return, not to a place on a map, but to a way of breathing that is ancient and true. Breathe as the trees breathe, slow, deep, rooted. With every inhale, imagine drawing in green light. With every exhale, imagine giving back warmth. A cycle, a gift, a dance. In Japan, there is a practice called Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing. It is not about swimming. It is about soaking your senses in the forest's presence. It is not exercise. It is immersion. Walk slowly, smell the bark, listen to the leaves, touch the moss. Let the forest breathe you. Let yourself breathe it in. Even here, in your imagination, the breath is real. Even now, in this quiet hour, the forest is near. All it takes is a breath to return. So as this final chapter of our breath journey draws to a close, I invite you, to lie down in your bed or in your mind, beneath a vast ancient canopy. Feel the forest all around you, not separate, not distant, but part of you. The trees breathe out. You breathe in. The trees breathe in. A perfect circle, a sacred rhythm, the first lullaby, the eternal song. The forest does not forget you. It waits, always, not just any soil, but the hidden realm beneath the forest, a world where whispers travel through root tips, and signals pulse, like slow thoughts through threads of fungi. It is here in this living web beneath your feet that the forest breathes its most secret breath, through a silent agreement, woven not with sound but with sugar, minerals and trust. Breathe in, and imagine the floor of a deep forest all around you. Trees stretch upward like the pillars of a cathedral. Moss carpets the ground like memory. The air is thick with the smell of rain-damp bark and ancient leaves. Yet beneath the visible world, deeper than the squirrels, deeper than the beetles, deeper even than the seeds, another forest begins. It is a forest made not of trunks and leaves, but of threads and filaments. A forest of fungi, not the mushrooms we occasionally glimpse in the light, but a hidden world called the mycorrhizal network, a name as soft as moss and as ancient as breath. Let us drift down into that soil, down where roots stretch out their fingers, not to take but to touch. You see, trees do not live alone, not truly. Each tree with its bark and branches and crown of leaves also lives a life below, an underground life, made of root hairs and microbial partners that dance in the dark, and among their most intimate partners are fungi. But these are not fungi in the way we often think, not rot or mold or decay. These fungi are the threads of connection, weaving their mycelium fine silken filaments through the earth in search of communion. Wherever they find a tree's root, they pause, and in the silence of the soil they extend a hand. The tree, sensing them not with eyes but with chemicals, opens its root tip, and in that tiny gesture, an ancient pact is renewed. The fungi offer something trees desperately need: minerals, especially phosphorus and nitrogen, drawn from rock and soil with microscopic finesse. The tree in turn offers sugar, crafted in its leaves by the alchemy of sunlight and air. It is a trade as old as forests themselves, a mutual breath, a silent agreement, and from this connection, a forest emerges that is not just a collection of individuals, but a community, a breathing, sharing, communicating collective bound by the whispering threads of the mycorrhizal web. Scientists sometimes call this network the Wood Wide Web, a playful name for something profound, because through these fungal threads, trees send more than they send warnings when beetles bite or drought threatens. They send support, nourishing younger saplings or feeding a dying elder. They even send recognition, knowing which trees are kin and which are stranger. Isn't it lovely to think that when a tree feels stress, it can whisper its worry through the soil, and another tree, perhaps one you passed without noticing, might respond with sugar and strength? It is a network of care, a forest that breathes not just oxygen but understanding, and it's happening right now, beneath city parks, beneath the mountain pines, beneath your very feet. This breath beneath the breath, this slow, silent song of sugars and minerals, is a kind of heartbeat for the forest, a rhythm not made of muscle, but of relationship. The fungi and the trees beat in time with one another, passing nourishment like blood. And what of the fungi? They are not merely helpers, they are ancient beings older than trees, older than flowers, older even than roots. They are the ones who first stepped from the sea to the land, preparing the soil for green life to follow. They taught the roots how to seek, how to share. They are the hidden lungs of the forest. Some scientists believe that without this fungal network, forests as we know them could not exist. The air we breathe, the oxygen in your lungs right now, would be less plentiful, less pure. So when you inhale, pause. Know that you are breathing with the help of beings you cannot see. Fungi that live in the dark, trees that feed through the ground, and the ancient partnerships that dance beneath your shoes. Even death in the forest feeds this breath. When a tree falls, it is not an end, it is a beginning. The fungi arrive, gentle and patient, dissolving bark, digesting wood. They do not rush, they do not hoard, they release the carbon and nitrogen locked within, passing it into the soil, into the roots, into the next generation of green. In this way, the mycorrhizal web is a recycler of time, a circulatory system of the forest. Each fallen log becomes a cradle, each rotting root a source of new strength. Each breath exhaled by a tree finds its way back, transformed through the soil. It is a kind of reincarnation, a breath that never truly ends. And what about us? We too are part of this breath. Our bodies return to the soil, our footsteps press the earth, our lungs inhale what trees exhale, and exhale what they inhale. We walk through a world shaped by the silent agreements of roots and fungi, and sometimes when we are still, truly still, we can feel that we are not apart from the forest, but within it, a breath inside a breath, a whisper inside a whisper. So the next time you pass a tree, remember, beneath its roots, threads are listening, messages are moving, sugar is flowing, and deep within the earth, something older than language is humming a tune that keeps the forest alive. You are not just a visitor here, you are a participant, a partner in this ancient respiration. So breathe, gentle dreamer, inhale the sweetness of cedar, exhale the warmth of your love, and know that in doing so, you are part of the most delicate dialogue on earth, the breath shared between light and dark, between leaf and fungus, between sky and soil. You are breathing with the forest, and it is breathing with you. Once upon a twilight, not measured by clocks but by the soft folding of petals and the hush between bird calls, there stood a forest, older than stories, older than language, older even than memory. It was not just a forest in the ordinary sense, not merely a collection of trunks and twigs. This was the breathing skin of the earth, a whispering cathedral of green, made not of stone but of living, listening wood, and beneath that green skin lay a pulse, a breath, a rhythm shared with all who wandered beneath its shade. And in this forest, trees were dreaming. They dreamed not as humans do, not with flickering images or tangled thoughts, but with the slow rhythm of sap rising through veins, of roots speaking in mineral syllables, of mycelium weaving silent lullabies beneath the floor of the world. They dreamed of the sky, and of rain, and of fire. They dreamed of animals, long gone or newly born, brushing against their trunks like soft exclamations. They dreamed of wind, of lightning, of the moonlight shifting like silver breath across their leaves. And they dreamed of us, we, with our hearts that beat like soft drums, we who breathe in what they exhale, and exhale what they breathe, we who walk upright and forget too easily that the earth is still singing all around us. We were part of their dreaming, and so, dear listener, let us enter their dream. Let us walk slowly into that breath, the last forest dreaming. Imagine a grove where time does not pass in seconds or minutes, but in the slow unfolding of fern fronds, where the sun's path across the canopy is the clock and the blooming of flowers is the calendar. In such a place, the world moves at the pace of patience. The leaves are not just green, they are 100 shades of silent song, emerald hums, mossy sighs, dew-kissed murmurs. Every leaf is a tiny solar panel, yes, but also a dream catcher for the light. When sunlight falls on them, they do not simply absorb, they listen. They listen to the color of light, to its warmth and rhythm, and they answer not with words, but with breath. Photosynthesis, the textbooks say, a word that sounds so sharp on the tongue, but here, in the forest, it is a lullaby. The leaf opens its pores, little mouths called stomata, and inhales carbon dioxide. It captures sunlight with its green pigment, chlorophyll, and begins its quiet alchemy. With sunlight and air and water drawn up from the ground, it makes sugar food for itself and releases oxygen as a gift, a silent exhale, a gift to the world. And we, the sleepers and dreamers under the trees, we breathe in that gift. We take their exhalation into our lungs, and it becomes life. And with each exhale of our own, we return the favor. Carbon dioxide, the tree's breath, an invisible circle, a quiet conversation, a love poem exchanged endlessly without a single word. Under the soil, more stories unfold. The roots of the trees are not blind or dumb. They are sensitive fingers reaching through darkness, searching for water, for nutrients, for companions. When one tree meets another underground, it doesn't always compete, it may connect. Here beneath our feet is the wood wide web, a symphony of fungi and roots, exchanging messages in the dark through threads of mycorrhizal fungi, finer than hair, older than bones. Trees can send sugars, water, nitrogen. They can warn each other of drought, disease, or danger. They can nurse their young. They can mourn their dead. In these ancient groves, elder trees give away their strength. A mother tree, hollowed by time, but rich in wisdom, may give her sugars to saplings in the shade. She remembers the windstorms, the fires, the years of flood, and her memory lives not in a mind, but in chemical messages, in hormones that travel root to root, whispering, "Grow slow, be patient, wait for the light." There is no selfishness here, no rush, only rhythm. Trees understand what it means to grow in time, not in haste. The forest does not rush us either. Let us rest for a moment. You and I, beneath the great boughs, lie down in the leaf litter, soft as a woven blanket of centuries. The scent of earth rises, a rich perfume of decay and rebirth. Every fallen leaf is not an end, but a beginning. As it crumbles, it feeds the soil, and the soil feeds the roots, and the roots rise again into leaves. Nothing is wasted here, not even death, especially not death. The forest teaches us that endings are just softer beginnings, that everything returns, everything cycles. The breath we take now may once have lived in the lungs of wolves, or whales, or wild horses that ran through prairies long turned to dust, and the breath we release will feed mosses, mushrooms, and maple trees not yet born. We are not outside this cycle. We are not guests in the forest. We are part of the forest's breath. Now let me take you to the heartwood, not of one tree, but of the forest itself, a place where the air is thick with stillness, not silence. Here the tallest trees arch like green cathedrals, their trunks wide enough to hold time, their bark thick with memory. The heartwood is not alive in the way the outer tree is. It no longer carries water. It no longer grows, but it holds the strength. It supports. It remembers. If you cut a tree, you will find rings. Each ring is a year, a season, a story. Some rings are wide, years of plenty. Others are narrow, years of drought. Some bear scars of fire, of lightning, of beetles, of blight. These are not just songs. Tree rings are the forest's diary, etched not in ink, but in growth. They tell us of ancient weather, of volcanic ash that dimmed the sun, of floods that rose like sighs through the roots. And they tell us this: the forest remembers, even if we forget, even if we build and burn and bury. The forest holds the memory of air, of water, of breath. And it holds the memory of us. Once, there were forests that stretched from sea to sea, great belts of green that wrapped the earth like a shawl. Rainforests in the Amazon, breathing out moisture into the sky. Taiga in Siberia, quiet and slow, rooted in frozen silence. Tropical groves in Indonesia, mangroves in the deltas, redwoods in California, banyans in India, baobabs in Africa. Each forest sang in its own voice. Each had its own rhythm, its own breath. But now, many of those voices grow quiet. The breath grows thinner. The lungs of the earth are wounded. Chainsaws sing where birds once nested. Smoke rises where clouds used to gather. Roads slice through root systems like scars through skin. And the trees, ancient, dreaming, patient, fall. And with every fallen tree, the forest's memory fades. The carbon stored in trunks returns to the sky. The shade vanishes. the soil dries, and the breath we share becomes shallow. The forest is still dreaming, but now the dreams are restless. Yet still, not all is lost. In the cracks between despair, hope roots. In the ashes, new seedlings rise. There are places where people plant trees, not just for fruit or timber, but for future breath, where children press seeds into the soil with small, determined fingers, where communities let old forests return, letting time heal what haste has harmed. There are scientists listening to the whisper of leaves. There are elders teaching forest wisdom. There are poets writing odes to roots. And there are you and I lying quietly, breathing together with the trees. Each breath we take is a choice, a reminder, a reunion. The forest is not gone. It is still here, in parks, in pockets, in dreams, in the breath you're taking now. Long before the tree was tall, before the leaves kissed the sky or the trunk circled in rings of time, there was a silence, a pause, a hush inside a shell. That shell was a seed, round or pointed, smooth or coarse, light as a whisper or heavy as a raindrop. Inside it was a waiting, not emptiness. No, never empty, but a concentrated stillness, filled with instructions, longing and patience. It held an entire forest, not in size, but in just as you once were small. So small you could fit in a single breath, and yet carried the rhythm of your ancestors' hearts. So too does the seed carry the forest's breath in miniature. Inside the seed is a memory older than trees, a code written in chlorophyll and sugar, a dream from the first time light touched life. The seed does not rush, it waits for warmth, for moisture, for invitation. It sleeps with one eye open, listening for rain, listening for light, and even in this slumber, it breathes, not as lungs do, not as leaves do, but with an inner stirring, a quiet metabolism. Molecules shift, enzymes awaken, and something begins. Germination is not the start of life, it is the reply to an ancient call. Just as your first breath as a newborn was not the first breath but the continuation of your mother's breath, passed through blood and quiet oceans inside her womb, so too does the seed respond to a breath that was waiting long before it. Let's watch, shall we? Imagine we are beside a tiny acorn nestled in the earth, not yet a mighty oak, just a smooth little world, curled around a mystery. Rain comes, the soil softens, sunlight warms the surface, and deep within, the acorn listens. Its shell softens barely, then a crack, so small it's silent, but it is the sound of the seed exhaling for the first time. Not air but energy. Stored sugars dissolve, feeding a whisper of life. The root tip begins its descent, reaching down before the shoot ever rises. Even now, the seed knows, first foundation, first anchoring, first connection with the dark and quiet earth. And as the root presses downward, something beautiful happens. The seed breathes in carbon from the air pockets in the soil, not with lungs but with enzymes, pores and osmotic dreams. It starts to exchange, it starts to become, and when the shoot breaks upward, slow, tentative, pale, it carries the forest's breath into the light. This is how all trees begin, not with grandeur, not with roar, but with humility, with tiny breaths taken in silence. There are seeds that germinate in days, and seeds that wait 50 years before waking, each one tuned to its own rhythm. There are seeds that can lie dormant for centuries, like the 2,000-year-old Judean date palm seed, found in the ruins of Masada, that was coaxed to life by gentle hands and soft light when it unfurled its first leaf in modern sunlight. It was not just a tree being born, it was history exhaling. A breath inhaled 2 millennia ago, now released into our world. Time collapses in such moments. A seed does not count years. It listens to warmth, to timing, to invitation. And now let's travel farther, not just among trees, but among forests of breath across the world. In the boreal forests of the north, pine seeds spiral gently from cones carried by wind and snow. They need fire, literal fire, to awaken. The heat cracks the cones open, and what once seemed like death, wildfire, becomes rebirth. So even destruction becomes breath, ash becomes cradle, carbon released in flame is reclaimed in green. In the tropical forests, seeds are swallowed by monkeys carried in bellies, dropped in shadow. Some require digestion to soften their coat. They depend on being eaten, on surrender, on trust that the breath of another will unlock their own. And in deserts, seeds shrink to protect their water. They bury themselves against heat. They breathe as little as possible, waiting for rain that may come once in 5 years. And when it does, they rise like a symphony. One breath, millions strong, a green miracle sung in silence. But you may ask, how is this breath? How is this like lungs and air and sighs? Because the seed, even while sleeping, responds to CO2. Even before it photosynthesizes, it exchanges gases with the soil. Tiny pores, called stomata, even on the embryonic shoot, open to let in breath. Inside, mitochondria stir, energy flows, water moves upward by osmosis. The laws of physics, chemistry, and grace all work together. A tree breathes before it has leaves. Before it is seen, it listens. Before it is known, it dreams. Just like us, just like the tiny cells in the embryo of a child, which begin to beat before the heart is whole. Motion before form, breath before identity. Now pause with me here. Let us sit beside this tiny sapling that has emerged from the sea. 2 leaves, like butterfly wings, stretch toward the sky. They are not yet strong. They flutter in the breeze, unsure, but they are breathing, inhaling carbon, exhaling oxygen, their first conversation with the world. And with every breath you take tonight, you are receiving the echo of this moment. Oxygen released by saplings, perhaps hundreds, thousands of miles away, now swirling invisibly in your lungs. Your exhale, warm, carbon-filled, will drift and feed a leaf by morning. You are breathing each other into life. Even now, somewhere on this spinning earth, a seed is cracking open, a shell is softening, a root is reaching, a forest is being born in silence, and that birth is not separate from you. For you carry seeds too, not only biologically, though yes, your body carries the capacity for creation, but spiritually, metaphorically, emotionally. You carry ideas, hopes, wishes that lie dormant, waiting for the right season. What are the seeds inside you tonight? What is waiting for warmth, for rain, for stillness? Breathe with them, trust their timing, and remember, even in stillness, seeds are listening. And so, dear one, as we near the end of this part of the forest's dream, let us return once more to the breath, in soft as moonlight, out, slow as roots growing in the dark. The seed teaches us that breath is not always loud, that beginnings are not always visible, that transformation happens in soil, in silence, in shadow. As you rest, may you feel yourself cradled like a seed in the palm of the earth, full of breath yet to come. In the hush between dusk and nightfall, a quiet circle begins its dance. We breathe in, the trees breathe out, we breathe out, the trees breathe in. It is as simple as it is sacred. This loop, this circuit, is older than memory, older than language, older than sorrow. It is the unspoken promise of coexistence, a contract written in molecules and fulfilled every moment of every day. Oxygen so bright and full of life slips from the open mouths of leaves. Carbon dioxide, the soft sighs of mammals, returns to the forest. As nourishment, it is an eternal rhythm of give and take, of presence and surrender. Close your eyes and picture it, a vast forest in gentle twilight, the leaves of 1,000 trees reaching outward, thin and soft like hands cupped to catch the falling sky. With every breath you take, they listen. With every breath they give, you are nourished. You do not need to try. You are already part of this sacred circle. Each leaf is a small miracle, a thin parchment inscribed with green veins, a paper-thin gate between atmosphere and soul. Look closer, and you'll find thousands of tiny mouths scattered across the leaf surface. Stomata they are, little portals that open and close in response to the world's emotions. In the morning, As the light grows bold, these mouths open wide, welcoming carbon dioxide like a visitor returning home, and in return they release oxygen, faultlessly, generously. A breath meant not for themselves, but for you. The stomata are sensitive. They feel the moisture in the air, the light from the sun, the wind brushing against the canopy, and they adjust, they open, they close, they whisper, they wait, always in conversation with the world. Imagine now that you are a leaf, unfurling slowly in spring light, breathing without lungs, living by the sun, giving life with every silent exhale. The forest breathes with sunlight. Photosynthesis. Such a gentle word for such profound transformation. It begins with light. Photons spill from the sky and leaves catch them like children catching butterflies. Chlorophyll, the green pigment in every leaf, awakens with the sun. It absorbs light, especially blue and red wavelengths, and begins its ancient work. Water drawn from the roots meets carbon dioxide drawn from the air, and together, through the soft alchemy of light, they are turned into sugars, into energy, into life, and as a byproduct, as a blessing, oxygen is released. It is exhaled as light as mist, rising slowly, invisibly, into the atmosphere. There it waits, until a lung reaches for it, until a breath calls it in, until you inhale. Then it enters your body, down your throat, into your lungs, into your blood, carried to your brain, to your fingertips, to your dreams, and there it becomes thought, movement, memory, love. The forest feeds you in every moment, even when you forget, especially when you forget. But the forest does not only breathe above, beneath the mossy surface, under leaves and loam. The roots are also part of the breath. Each tree, with its deep taproot and gossamer tendrils, draws in water and nutrients from the soil. It is this water, this earth's drink, that fuels photosynthesis. But more than that, roots themselves respire. Yes, trees breathe with their roots too, a quiet, cellular respiration. Just as we do, they consume sugars and oxygen. They release carbon dioxide in return. The soil breathes with them, a dark ocean of fungi, bacteria and tiny lives, each taking part in the slow, rich breath of the forest floor. The mycorrhizal fungi, the silent web of the wood wide web, links root to root, tree to tree, sharing not only sugars but messages, danger, drought, disease. They whisper warnings through the soil, so other trees can prepare. This too is a kind of breath, a breath of communication, of memory, of mutual care. The forest changes its rhythm as the day unfolds. During the golden hours of sunlight, photosynthesis reigns. The trees drink carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen with joy. But at night, the forest rests. Without sunlight, photosynthesis pauses, and like all living beings, trees begin to respire. They consume some of the sugars they made in the light, and in that process, they release carbon dioxide. Yes, just like us, trees breathe out carbon dioxide at night, but not in fear, not in imbalance. Just as we shift into dreams, the forest shifts into equilibrium. The breath of night is slower, softer, a lullaby of exchange, a gentle balancing of what was given and what is needed. It is a dance that continues, even while you sleep, especially while you sleep. Have you ever noticed how being near trees makes it easier to breathe? Not just because of oxygen, though that matters, but because your breath slows, your shoulders fall, your heart finds a quieter beat. There is a reason for that. Your nervous system listens, and the forest speaks in frequencies your body remembers. The gentle rustle of leaves mimics the pattern of your breath. The swaying of branches mirrors the rhythm of your lungs. The softness of moss underfoot reminds your body that it is safe. When you stand in a forest, your breath and the tree's breath begin to align. You inhale, they exhale. You exhale, they inhale. The forest does not just give oxygen, it gives calm. It gives cadence. It gives you back to yourself. In this quiet exchange, there is also responsibility. To breathe with the forest is to live with the forest, to honor its rhythm, to protect its breath. Every tree lost means less oxygen, less carbon absorbed, less stability in the great dance of gas. But every tree planted, every forest protected, is a promise renewed. It is not just about ecology, it is about kinship. Because when we cut down forests, we do not just lose wood, we lose breath, we lose conversation, we lose memory. To protect forests is to protect our own ability to breathe. Every inhalation is a prayer to the trees, every exhalation an offering. Beneath the forest floor, where the air thins and light has never wandered, a hidden life rustles. It does not breathe as we do, and yet it is breathing. The roots, oh, the roots are breathing. Their breath is not the wind, not the flutter of leaves above, not the mist curling along the mossy bark. Their breath is a stillness that hums. Let's follow it now. Sink deeper still. You are no longer standing on soil. You are the soil. You are the echo in the roots' gentle exhale. Long ago, before there were cities, before the crackle of electric wires or the sound of steel upon stone, the earth breathed in silence. It spoke through roots. Each tree, when it grew not only toward the sun but also toward its siblings beneath, down and out. Its roots reached a slow, listening stretch. They touched stone, they passed fossils, they whispered across grains of ancient sand, and when they found other roots they paused and waited. You see, trees do not rush introductions, they arrive like twilight. They greet with patience, and beneath the surface, where no one is watching, they begin to speak. Not in sound, not in words, but in chemistry, in pulse, in tiny electrical whispers, in sugars shared and danger signaled, in peace offered through a fungal thread. This is the wood wide web, and it is older than any web the world has spun above. Ah yes, fungi. The ancient lace that stitches forest hearts together. If you look closely, closer than the eye allows, you will find them. Long filaments of mycelium threading root to root. Like silver nerves glowing faintly under the earth's skin, they carry messages. Not stories with beginnings and ends, but feelings. A tree that is thirsty may whisper to another, help, and another, full of water, may send its nourishment along. A mother tree, fading with age, may press its last sugars into the ground, toward its saplings, a farewell kiss, given in silence. Even fallen trees, long since leafless, remain connected. They are not dead. They are listening. They are part of the root mind of the forest. And they still breathe, not with lungs, but with life. Breathe in now, gently, and feel the air around you travel back in time. The oxygen you just welcomed into your chest may have come from 1,000 trees, from the vast redwoods of the Pacific mist, from birch groves in the north, from the tangled jungles where light pierces in spear, and it may have passed through the mouth of a leaf, into the green factory of photosynthesis, into sugars that flowed into the roots, and into the mycelial threads that curled under ancient stones. That air might carry molecules once held by a tree that stood when empires rose and fell. It might carry the breath of wolves and deer, of poets and stargazers, of you as a child, gasping in wonder at your first glimpse of a falling leaf. Everything in the forest is breathed more than once. Now come with me, softly. Let's kneel at the foot of an old tree. Its bark is weathered with the years. Moss curls in its cracks. Ants parade along its base. It stands silent but alive. Place your palm against it. Close your eyes. Can you feel the deep, slow rhythm inside it? Not like your heartbeat, fast and fleeting, but like the earth's pulse, that slow, grounding thumb, a breath that takes hours to fully inhale and hours again to exhale. This tree is not only breathing above, it is breathing below. Its roots swell and shrink as water pulses through them. Its cells respond to pressure, to pull, to the whisper of fungal tendrils, and it listens. It listens to every tremble in the soil. It hears the patter of mole feet, the soft erosion of time. It feels when its neighbor is in pain, and it remembers, not as we do, but as forests do, through the language of survival, through shared molecules and memories passed in sap. This is the breath of the forest's roots. Now drift with me, deep into a dream of how roots and breath are one. Imagine the roots of trees as slow rivers of thought. They move not with speed, but with certainty. Each root tip as it stretches senses what lies ahead. A stone? It will move around it. Water? It will lean toward it. Toxins? It will stop. This movement is awareness. This seeking is the forest's form of knowing. And when one tree learns, its knowledge may spread. The mycelium carries the warning, the wisdom. A toxic patch of soil becomes a known danger. An abundance of moisture becomes a shared feast. This web of understanding is invisible to us, but it is real. It shapes where the trees grow, how they grow, and who they grow beside. So when you next walk through a forest, know that you are not walking alone. You are walking through a community that remembers. Let me tell you a story now, soft and slow, like a leaf drifting to the earth. In a forest far older than names, a lightning bolt struck a tall pine. It burned, and in falling, it tore through two smaller saplings. The fire was brief, and the rains came fast, but the trees were wounded, and deep underground, the mycelium felt it. The roots of the nearby trees felt it, and they responded. Nutrients flowed toward the injured ones. Signals pulsed along the underground threads. The forest did not turn away. It gathered around its hurt and said, "You are still one of us." Months passed. The fallen pine became a nurse log. Its bark softened and mushrooms bloomed. New life stirred in its decay. And above it, the two small saplings found strength they should not have had. They grew, because beneath them the breath of the roots had not abandoned them. Because in forests, even grief becomes nourishment. Breathe again now, in through the nose, out through the mouth, like wind through pine needles, like mist sliding down oak trunks, like the hush between heartbeats. You are breathing with the forest, and the forest is breathing with you. Even when no one is watching, even when the world feels still, even when the leaves are still, and the animals are asleep, the roots below are whispering, the mycelium is glowing, and the air is alive with memory. Bark, the skin of the tree, rough in places, flaking, furrowed, sometimes smooth like paper, sometimes cracked like desert clay, but beneath it lies a quiet orchestra of life, layers upon layers of flow, memory and intention. Just beneath the bark is where breath takes root. The outer bark, dry and protective, shields the tree from rain, frost and hungry mouths. But it is not alive, not truly. It is the armor, the shell, the rind of yesterday. Beneath that outer coat lives the phloem, the tree's soft bloodstream. It's here where the sugar flows, the sweet reward of photosynthesis. When sunlight kisses a leaf, that kiss is not forgotten. It's turned into sugar, sucrose, and sent downward in rivulets. From crown to root tip, through the phloem's tiny tubes, a river of sweetness moves. It's how the leaves feed the roots, how the crown nourishes the unseen. The sugars flow downward in the evening. That's when the leaf's feast begins its journey home. And beneath the phloem lies the cambium. Ah, the cambium, a single cell layer thick. Yet it holds the secret of growth. The cambium divides again, forming new xylem inward and new phloem outward. It's the whispering painter, layering a new ring with each passing year. You can almost hear it if you lie beside the trunk and wait long enough. The soft scribble of growth, and within, the xylem, the tree's breath-filled heartwood, highway. The xylem carries water up from the roots, sometimes hundreds of feet, using only the pull of the sun. Each water droplet, lifted, is a testament to life. Each upward pulse is powered not by muscle, not by pump, but by evaporation, by breath itself. The water escapes through the leaves in tiny pores, stomata, and the suction created pulls the next droplet upward. This is transpiration, The tree breathes in carbon dioxide. It drinks water from the soil, and in exchange it gives oxygen to the air and sugar to its own bones. And all this entire system lies just beneath the bark, a living circuit of breath, drink. Now imagine shrinking down, becoming small enough to walk these inner corridors. The phloem gleams like amber, sticky and golden. The xylem rises like spiral staircases of straw. The cambium hums softly, dividing and becoming. It is here, in these secret tissues, that the forest's breath is stored. But the tree's breath is more than physical. It is emotional. It is responsive. Trees, you see, change the rhythm of their breathing. In drought they grow cautious. Their stomata, those tiny pores on the leaf, close tightly, hoarding moisture. In rain they open wide, sipping the gift from sky and soil. Even at night, trees alter their breath. Without sunlight, photosynthesis halts. So the leaves rest, the stomata mostly closed, the water rising only in dreams. It is a slow exhale, but even as the tree sleeps, it continues to sense. It feels the moonlight. It listens to the wind. It remembers the day just past and leans toward tomorrow. And in this stillness, your breath begins to mirror theirs. Inhale, like the leaf reaching for light. Exhale, like the root releasing to the dark. You are breathing with the tree now, its inner organs, its transport systems, its silent lungs, all working together in rhythm. And this rhythm is not solitary. Trees do not breathe alone. In forests, their breath is shared. One tree's exhale becomes another's inhale. The air between them is stirred by the dance of branches, mixed by birdsong, washed by the rain. Some scientists believe trees synchronize their stomata rhythms with each other, that one oak may influence the breathing of its neighbors, that the forest, like a sleeping creature, inhales as what a thought, that thousands of trunks and millions of leaves across hills and valleys might sigh in unison. This is the forest's breath, not just a fact but a feeling. Even their root systems are linked. Through fungal networks called mycorrhizae, they share resources, warnings, water and wisdom. It's a breath made of bonds, a breath made of kinship. When one tree is thirsty, its neighbors may send water through the underground web. When one tree is attacked by insects, it releases chemical signals, breath-carrying news. Nearby trees receive the message and begin producing defenses. Trees speak in breath, in scent, in exhale, in invisible waves, and we are part of that conversation. Now let's sit at the foot of one very old tree. Place your hand gently on its trunk, beneath your palm. Feel the slow pulse of upward water, the downward drift of sugar, the rise and fall of gases through microscopic pores, the birth of new xylem in the cambium, the tiny choices made in each cell, open or close, divide or wait, drink or rest. All of it beneath the bark. You may not hear it with ears, but your breath will understand. Your lungs remember this rhythm. We evolved with trees. We learned to breathe in their presence. Our first cradle may have been under their shade. Even today, studies show that walking in forests lowers heart rate, reduces cortisol, calms the mind. Shinrin-yoku, the Japanese art of forest bathing, is more than poetic, it's biological. When we breathe with the trees, our nervous system settles, our cells recognize the molecules they offer, the terpenes released by pine, the isoprenes from oak, the aromatic oils from eucalyptus, all affect our breath. These are molecular lullabies, the invisible breath of trees. Now let's imagine a forest breathing in slow motion. Every morning, the leaves unfurl like lungs. Every evening, they fold in gentle prayer. The wind brushes past, stirring their breath into ours, and somewhere deep within the cambium stirs. The tree is not only breathing, it is deciding to grow, to heal, to stretch toward light, or pause for rest. Each year, it writes its decisions in rings. Those rings you see in a cut stump, they are breaths. One ring per year, one inhale of spring, one exhale of autumn. A dry year leaves a narrow ring, a generous one, a wide circle of joy. The tree remembers every drought, every flood, every fire, every soft spring shower. The bark hides it, but the breath is recorded. Imagine if your own chest could etch each year of your life into wood. What would your rings say? Would there be a narrow one, where grief curled tight, a broad one, where love expanded your breath? Trees carry all this within, and yet they continue to breathe, with patience and grace. Winter in its quiet majesty is not death, it is waiting, it is listening. The deciduous trees have shed their golden gowns, standing bare as cathedral bones against a pale sky. The evergreens still wear their deep green cloaks, heavy with snow, whispering to one another, in wind-borne sighs. But inside the bark, beneath the frost-covered skin, something ancient stirs. Trees do not stop breathing in winter. They pause, they slow, but they do not forget. Their stomata, those tiny mouths on their leaves, have mostly closed now. Their energy has retreated inward, deep into root and heartwood, but respiration continues, a ghost of breath, a memory of light. They are alive beneath the hush, and the forest, though hushed, is humming, a breath measured in stillness. Even now, trees are quietly inhaling oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. Even as photosynthesis slows to a near stop, their mitochondria, the tiny engines inside each cell, still they burn sugars made during warmer months to fuel the stillness. It is a careful rhythm, a rationed breath, like a diver holding steady under the surface. The tree regulates each molecule of energy, nothing wasted, nothing rushed. In the sugar-rich phloem, a silent pulse moves. Sap thickens, but does not stop. Beneath the bark, it flows like slow thought, carrying the memory of sunshine from summer, stored like dreams in every vessel. And just beneath the soil, the roots hold their own secret breath, the warmth beneath the frost. Beneath your feet, just a few inches below the frost line, is warmth. Not the warmth of fire or sunlight, but the steady, ancient heat of the earth. The soil, covered in leaves and snow, is blanketed against the cold. Their roots continue their secret work. They draw water when they can. They breathe oxygen from the air pockets in the soil. They stretch minutely, quietly, toward deeper sources of nutrients. And within them a tiny exchange occurs. Mitochondria in root cells convert sugars into usable energy, just as we do when we breathe. Cult. In. Out. The forest may appear frozen, but underground the breath continues. A hidden exhale beneath the frost. Snow's silent conversation. Have you ever listened to falling snow? If you sit still enough, it begins to speak. Snow muffles the world's sharp edges. It softens the forest's voice into lullabies. Footsteps become whispers. Wind becomes a hum. Trees creak like rocking chairs. And in the quiet, snow listens to breath. The snow interacts with the forest's breathing in ways we barely perceive. Fresh snow, light and fluffy, acts like a sponge, absorbing sound, slowing moisture loss from the soil. It shelters seedlings and root tips. It reflects moonlight in shimmering silence. And it holds carbon. Each snowflake, as it falls through the air, captures trace amounts of carbon dioxide, a silent exchange with the sky. When it lands on tree branches, or settles onto the forest floor, it becomes part of the breathing cycle, a frozen pause in the dialogue between sky and soil. Snow doesn't stop the breath, it cradles it. Frozen waters and dreaming roots. Where streams once bubbled and flowed, now ice stretches like glass. But beneath that icy film, water still moves. Slowly, patiently, in eddies and pools beneath the frozen surface. Roots drink. Tree roots near frozen rivers, or deep underground aquifers, continue their work all winter long. Water moves upward only when needed, but enough to keep the tree alive. Water is not only drink, it is medium. It carries oxygen, it carries memory. Even the cells inside the tree are filled with water, and they must protect it to avoid bursting from ice crystals. Tree cells accumulate sugars and proteins, natural antifreeze. These protect the delicate membranes within, and so the breath continues, not in rushing rivers, but in trembling currents within each cell, in, out, like a snowflake forming in a cloud, soft, precise, alive, the winter breath of evergreens. Some trees keep their breath above ground even in winter. Evergreens, the quiet sentinels, continue to photosynthesize in short bursts, especially on warmer winter days. Their needle-like leaves are designed to retain water and resist the cold. Coated in wax with fewer stomata than broad leaves, they sip light and air sparingly. They are the monks of the forest, cloistered, meditative, slow. Even under snow they can breathe. Even under clouded skies, they can dream. Their chlorophyll remains green throughout winter, and when sunlight strikes their needles, however faint, it awakens the breath within. A soft exhale of oxygen joins the cold air, invisible, sacred, and we breathe it in, a gift in the middle of sleep, our winter breath. We too change how we breathe in winter. Our breaths become clouds. We see them hanging in the air like the steam of warm tea. Our chests rise and fall under woolen scarves. Our lungs, like trees, feel the cold and adjust. And as we breathe out carbon dioxide, the trees receive it, not all at once, not right away, but over days and weeks, as the weather shifts and allows. We are still part of the exchange, even in winter, even in sleep, even in silence. The echoes of past summers. Inside the trees are rings, concentric memories of summers gone by. Each ring tells a story of rainfall, of drought, of forest fire and frost. But each ring is also a record of breath. The carbon absorbed that season becomes part of the wood, locked away, carried into the future. Carbon that once circled the earth as gas, carbon that once passed through your lungs, becomes part of the tree's spine and rests there. So in winter, when all is still, the tree holds its breath, not just of this moment, but of every breath it has ever taken. It remembers sunlight, it remembers sunder, it remembers us, the sacred pause. In music, the rest is as important as the note. In breath, the pause is as vital as the inhale. Winter is the forest's sacred pause, a time to gather, to remember, to hold still and wait, but never to stop. The roots continue, the sap continues, the snow listens, the tree, bare or green, still pulses with life. Its breath is slow, measured, sacred. The forest does not speak in words, it speaks in light, it speaks in rhythm, it speaks in breath, and perhaps if you listen closely, it speaks in the rustle of leaves, in the hush between heartbeats, in the shimmer of chlorophyll absorbing ancient sunlight. In this chapter we return to the canopy above, where each leaf, each single leaf is a page in a living language, older than speech. For in the quiet crown of the forest, where breezes pass like forgotten lullabies, light is not just seen, it is heard in photosynthesis, felt in sugars and oxygen, translated into life. And the leaves, oh, the leaves, they are fluent in the dialect of stars. The leaf as a listener. Let's begin with a single leaf. You may imagine it now gently unfolding, tender and green, cradled at the end of a branch. Perhaps a maple, perhaps an oak, perhaps a silent, silver-leaved beech. This leaf does not grow aimlessly. It orients itself to the light, just as sunflowers tilt and jellyfish glow. Each morning as dawn unfurls over the canopy, leaves awaken not with eyes, but with cells that taste the light. Photoreceptors, gentle invisible eyes inside their tissues, sense wavelengths, warmth, and the subtle shift of color from morning blue to evening gold. The leaf listens, not to sound but to photo. These tiny sparks, born in the sun, travel 93 million miles, just to kiss a leaf's surface, and when they arrive, that leaf, small and green, whispers a quiet thank you by turning light into breath. Photosynthesis, a soft alchemy. Let us pause and dwell here. Photosynthesis. The word feels heavy, scientific, mechanical, but in truth, it is the forest's love letter to light. It is alchemy, softened by green. In the most delicate parts of a leaf, chloroplasts float like small boats in a sea of cytoplasm. They shimmer like emeralds, filled with chlorophyll, that magical pigment which captures sunlight and turns it into sustenance. But it's not just energy, it's not just sugar, its breath. For every beam of light caught in a leaf, a molecule of carbon dioxide is drawn in, a trace of your own exhale, perhaps, and a molecule of oxygen is released. Think of that. When you walked through the woods last summer, and you paused under a tree, and you sighed, maybe, just maybe, a nearby leaf drank in that sigh, spun it through green gears of photosynthesis, and released oxygen just for you. The forest is not just alive, it is attentive. Canopy conversations. The canopy is not a ceiling, it is a cathedral. It is a breathing dome of interwoven lives. Every tree stretches its leaves towards sunlight, but not in silence. Researchers now know what trees always did. They are polite in their reaching. They negotiate, leaf to leaf, branch to branch. Some slow their growth to allow neighbors more light. Some send chemical signals when drought looms, or when shade threatens a sapling. And above all, they share the light. In old-growth forests, sunlight is not hoarded. It is danced through, broken into sunbeams and shadow mosaics that shimmer like stained glass. Leaves tremble in the wind, creating flashes and pulses of light that keep photosynthesis finely tuned. Too much sun would scorch the chloroplasts. Too little, and the sugars would fade. But the forest knows balance. It lets the wind speak, lets the leaves move, and in doing so it breathes evenly, not just through one tree, but through the whole green chorus. Leaves that sleep. Just like you, leaves rest. When twilight deepens and the sky becomes a watercolor of silver and indigo, leaves fold inward. They droop. They dim their photosynthetic fire. This is not failure. It is rhythm. In many plants, especially legumes and tropical trees, leaves literally close for the night, a movement known as nyctinacity. As darkness gathers, potassium ions shift in specialized leaf cells, causing water to follow. Pressure drops, leaves collapse gently, as if bowing to the moon. Why? Perhaps to protect themselves from night cold, perhaps to shed rain more easily, or perhaps, in the oldest memory of green life, to mimic the rhythm of a breathing world. Inhale with the day, exhale with the stars. The forest breathes on a 24-hour, and we, as sleepers beneath its boughs, mirror its lullaby, listening to the wind. Have you ever heard the leaves speak? Not metaphorically, but really, that soft rustling, that watery whisper, that susurrus of green against green. It is not random. Each species of tree has its own sound, its own signature rustle. Oak leaves are thick and leathery. They flutter slowly, like turning book pages. Maple leaves are wide and papery, crackling like parchment in a soft breeze. And willows, their narrow leaves sway like strands of hair, shivering in the gentlest wind, like a quiet voice remembering something tender. These sounds are not meaningless. They create microclimates. They signal change. They may even help plants know the weather is changing, that rain is coming, or that a predator has brushed past. And to us, these sounds are lullabies. How many of us have fallen asleep beneath the rustle of a tree? That too is communication, a soothing signal that all is well. When leaves let go, no leaf leaves forever, and yet, when they fall, they do so gently, as if whispering a final secret. In autumn, the days shorten, light lessens, trees begin the great letting. They seal off nutrients to each leaf, recycling what they can, but then they loosen the grip. The green fades, and other pigments emerge. Carotenoids of gold, anthocyanins of crimson, xanthophylls of amber. It is not death, it is transformation. Even in its departure, a leaf continues the forest's breath. It lands softly on the soil, decomposes, feeds fungi, nourishes roots, and becomes part of the next breath. In this way, no breath is wasted, no leaf is truly gone. They all become part of the great respiration of earth, of sky, of you, the mirror in your breath. And now, dear listener, return once more to your own breath. Feel the air fill your lungs. Feel the gentle rise and that oxygen, that softness in your chest, was born in a leaf, perhaps in a tree you've never seen, perhaps in a rainforest, or on a hillside, or in the backyard of your childhood. Each inhale is a reunion, each exhale a gift. You breathe out carbon, a tree breathes it in. You breathe in oxygen, a tree exhales it back. And so you are never truly alone. Your lungs echo the leaves. Your rhythm echoes the canopy. Your silence holds the same reverence as sunlight sifting through branches. Long before writing, before history was inked on paper, the bees remembered in movement, each dance a recording, each waggle a sentence, each turn a punctuation mark. The honeybee's memory is written not on scrolls, but in the air. Their waggles are echoes of yesterday's flowers, yesterday's sun. In the shifting angles of their dance lies a trace of time's flow, an archive in motion. But how does such a tiny creature remember? Let us float inside her mind. The worker bee, only a few weeks old, already entrusted with a language centuries in the making. Her brain, though no larger than a grain of sand, pulses with patterns, neurons shaped by generations of floral maps. Electrochemical pulses form impressions of light, scent, and space. Even in sleep, bees dream. Yes, studies have shown their antennae twitch in rest, replaying motions like a pianist rehearsing nocturnes in their dreams. In her memory, the scent of lavender lives beside the angle of the sun. The angle becomes a vector, the scent becomes a signature, the memory becomes a message, and in the flicker of her wings, she sends that message out again to the hive. The hive as a living memory. The hive remembers too, not as individuals remember, but as a whole, a superorganism with distributed memory, like a murmuration of birds that knows how to turn. When one bee forgets, another recalls. When one pathway is lost, another is carved. The hive is like a mind with 1,000 eyes, each storing a fragment of the map. Even their architecture is memory and hexagons, always hexagons, each side a commitment to efficiency, to memory stored in the fewest lines possible. Honeycomb is not only storage for nectar, but for temperature, rhythm, vibration. It holds the past in its walls. In winter the hive remembers warmth. In spring it remembers bloom. In every season it responds with the instincts carried in wax and wing beat. Time beneath the bee's shadow. Do bees know time? Not in the way we count it, minutes, hours, years, but in light and shadow. Yeah, the sun arcs across their sky, and they feel it in their bones. Inside them, tiny clocks tick to the rhythm of daylight. Circadian rhythms guide their foraging, just as they guide your sleep. But bees don't just follow time, they tell. A waggle angle speaks of the hour the flower bloomed. A vibration hints at when the nectar will be richest. The message is laced with when, as much as where. In this way the dance is not static. It ages. It fades as time passes. Information has a half-life inside the hive. Other bees sense the oldness of the dance. They respond accordingly. They learn which dances are fresh and which belong to yesterday. This is temporal intelligence, an understanding that nothing stays the same, that memory is not eternal, but still sacred in its transient. When the queen remembers, now let us visit the queen, not because she rules in the way of kings, but because she is the thread that connects the present hive to all hives before. Her body carries not just eggs, but lineage, genetic memory passed from wing to wing. Within her lies a history of survival, of adaptation, of migration, of change. Her pheromones whisper of ancestry. They calm, organize, instruct. The very scent of her body recalls 1,000 mothers. She rarely leaves the hive, yet the entire colony orients around her, as though she holds the gravitational center of their shared story. Even when she dies, the hive remembers her. A hush falls, then urgency, then renewal. A new queen is nurtured, and in her the cycle begins again, not as a replacement, but as a continuation of memory in motion. Flowers that remember bees. Now shift your gaze outward, to the fields, to the flowers, Because memory flows both ways. Do flowers remember bees? In a sense, yes. Plants have no nervous systems, no brains, yet some flowers open only at the hour when bees visit. They tune their rhythm to the hum of arrival. They time their bloom with the return of the pollinator. Certain orchids mimic the shape and scent of bees, recalling not only the bee's body but its desires. A coevolution, a duet of memory. Floral petals become archives of pollination. Nectar guides become codes. Colors shift in ways visible only to bee. It is a conversation written in ultraviolet. The flower remembers the bee, and the bee remembers the flower. And somewhere between the two, a memory takes root in the world. The memory of honey. Now let us taste memory. Honey, that golden syrup thick with sun. What is it but a jar of preserved days? Each spoonful contains the warmth of early morning air, the scent of jasmine in bloom, the toil of 1,000 flights, the waggle that once pointed toward a hill of wild thyme. Honey is time you can taste. It carries the echoes of vanished seasons, the ghosts of rain clouds, the pollen of long-forgotten flowers. It is not just sweet. It is sacred, a memory, liquefied, the silence of forgetting. But what of forgetting? Not all memories endure. A drought erases a flower's name. Smoke clouds the sun. The dance loses clarity. The scent fades from the air. The bee must adapt. She stops dancing for what's no longer there. She seeks new light, new landmarks. And in this forgetting, too, is wisdom. A dance that never changes becomes meaningless. So the hive learns to forget gently, to let go of what no longer serves. Like your own mind must sometimes release an old hurt, an old story. The bees teach us that forgetting can be a kindness, a way to begin again. You, the keeper of their memory. As you listen to this, you become part of their remembering. Your imagination cradles their rhythm. Your breath aligns with their hum. You become, in this moment, another keeper of their ancient story. When you plant a flower, you remember them. When you pause by a buzzing bloom, you remember them. When you taste honey and smile, you remember them. And in that remembering, they live on. This is the final breath of the hive's long and humming story. Close your eyes, soften your breath, and let the sleepy wings of the honeybee carry you one last time. It is early autumn in the garden, and something subtle shifts. The flowers still bloom, yes, though some are faint, fading as if sighing into the soil. Their colors are less vivid now, as though memory itself were beginning to loosen its hold. The hive, once a golden furnace of motion, has quieted. Inside, bees move more slowly, more deliberately. The rhythm has changed. The waggle dances grow fewer. The urgency that once electrified the comb is now replaced by something softer, a graceful winding down. The bees know, they know what even the flowers do not speak. That time turns in spirals, and their own spiral is now coiling inward. But oh, how gently they greet the dusk. Let us pause now, with reverence, and watch how the hive prepares not for death but for rest, for sleep, for becoming the soil from which spring will one day rise again. In the final weeks of warmth, the worker bees gather the last nectar from the garden. The asters offer up their tiny purple stars, and the goldenrod stands tall and trembling in the breeze. The bees' bodies are heavier now, packed with purpose. They move through the garden like slow-moving suns, bright and sacred. Each trip is a farewell, each sip of nectar, a quiet thank you. Within the hive they store this final bounty in perfect hexagons, each drop a pearl of summer remembered. The honey glows like sunlight caught in amber. It is the memory of long days, of lavender winds and clover fields, sealed with beeswax and intention. This honey will sustain them through winter's silence. It is food, yes, but also song. It carries the signature of every flower the bees have loved, and it hums with gratitude. The queen, too, begins to slow, her once constant laying ease. Her attendants, who once fed her and cleaned her with endless devotion, now move more calmly around her, She is still the center of the hive, the axis of their spinning world, but her reign grows quieter. She no longer commands with the urgency of spring. She has done her work. The thousands she has birthed hum around her, and soon they will carry the legacy onward without her. There is no panic in her, no fear, only the stillness of completion. And even the bees seem to understand. They do not grieve, not in the way we must. For them, endings are folded into beginnings, like petals in a bud not yet opened. And the drones, the male bees once pampered guests in the hive, now feel the chill of change. They have no role in winter. They do not help clean or tend larvae, or make wax. They do not forage. And now, as food stores are rationed and every ounce of energy must serve the survival of the whole, the workers begin to gently, firmly push them out. It is not cruel. It is the wisdom of necessity. The drones leave the hive one by one, drifting into the thinning air. Some try to return, only to find the entrance guarded. The sisters who once nursed them with honey now guard the doorway like stone-faced sentinels. Outside, the drones lie still. The garden does not mourn. It simply continues. In the heart of the hive, something remarkable begins. The last generation of the year emerges, not like the workers of summer who lived only weeks, burning bright and fast, but different. These are winter bees. They are fatter, thicker, their bodies built to endure. They are filled not with speed, but with patience. Their lifespans stretch not for days, but for months, so they may live through the long dark and keep the hive alive. Their muscles are made for warmth. In the coldest hours they will huddle together in a great hang ball, vibrating their bodies to create heat. And at the center of this trembling galaxy, the queen, still, warm, waiting. The waggle dance grows rare now. There are fewer flowers to announce, fewer flights to share. In time, the dancers stop altogether. The bees no longer need to fly. The outside world will soon be too cold, too still. And so they turn inward. All their energy coils within, like a sleeping cat curled beside a fire. And though there are no more dancers upon the comb, the memory of them lingers. The walls of the hive hum with it, as if the dancers have been etched into the very wax. Come spring, new bees will be born. The queen may be gone, or she may yet rise again, but someone will dance. Someone always does. That is the secret. The hive never truly stops dancing. It simply rests. Outside the hive, snow will come, the flowers will fold, the grass will sleep. The wind will move through bare trees like a memory searching for its name. And below the surface, in the dark soil, something listens. The flowers to be, the unborn blossoms, they feel the hum of the bees, even now, as if the hive's warmth is a whisper through their roots. They will wait, they will remember, and when the time is right, they will bloom again, not for themselves, but for the bees they have never met. That is how the cycle continues, not through sight, not through sound, but through the quiet remembering of what was once beautiful. And now, dear listener, our story drifts toward its final breath. The sun slips low over the meadow. The hive is still. Inside, the bees hum softly to each other in the dark. They are not afraid. They know the cold will come. They know many will not survive, but they also know that nothing truly ends. Every flower dies, and every flower returns. Every bee is born of another's devotion. Every drop of honey is a love letter sealed in wax. Even silence carries memory. Even winter carries song. So now, as your body softens beneath your blanket, as your own breath slows, joining the rhythm of the sleeping hive, let this be your lullaby, that you are part of this dance, that your life, like the bees, is brief and beautiful, and enough, that even in stillness, you are remembered, that the hum continues long after the wings go quiet, and that in the deep soil of time, something golden waits to bloom again. Good night, little dreamer. May your sleep be deep, and your dreams filled with meadows. Thank you for walking through this garden of wings with me.